Welcome to Insightful Gaming. Destiny 2's Lightfall expansion is upon us, and with that, a major decision for every player in the community. Which subclass should you invest in first? As we all know, each subclass has its own unique abilities and playstyles, making the decision a tough one to make. That's why in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the strengths of each subclass and providing our expert analysis on which one we believe will be the most powerful in Lightfall. Now you may be thinking, how can we know which subclass will be the best without even playing the game yet? Well, we've done our homework, studied the pre-release materials, and combined it with our extensive experience in Destiny 2 to bring you our predictions. Of course, once the game launches and players get their hands on the new content, we'll undoubtedly discover new builds and synergies that could change our opinions. But for now, let's take a closer look at each subclass and see which one we think will reign supreme: Titans, Warlocks, or Hunters. Let's dive into each subclass and see what they bring to the table. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below letting me know what subclass are you going to pick, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting Destiny 2 gaming content. Now let's jump straight into it. Now, let's talk about the Hunter's Strand subclass. The Hunter's Threadrunner subclass in Strand is all about maximizing mobility and grappling options. The Threaded Spike melee ability shoots out a rope dart that bounces between enemies, damaging and severing them before returning to the hunter. The best part is that as it comes back, it grants melee energy for each enemy hit, and players can even catch the rope dart at the right time to earn additional melee energy. This ability is incredibly powerful, bouncing between enemies and reducing their damage. Moving on to the Super, the Silk Strike is another roaming super that allows Guardians to grapple freely while it's active, making movement much more fluid. With a lethal combination of a grapple and a rope dart, the Threadrunner subclass is ready to wreak havoc on enemies. When activated, Silk Strike allows Hunters to use their grapple to freely move around in third-person view while throwing their rope dart to strike down enemies. The rope dart features both a light and heavy attack, with the light attack being perfect for taking down single opponents both in the air and on the ground. Hunters can even chain attacks seamlessly when they are on the ground. But it gets better. Hitting an enemy with the tip of the dart deals bonus damage, and defeating an enemy with it causes them to explode. The heavy attack, on the other hand, has the Hunter swing the rope dart around in a 360-degree arc, damaging all nearby enemies. And just like the light attack, the heavy attack can be used both on the ground and in the air. While it seems better than the Titan's Berserker on the surface, the Tether is still the right choice in most activities, especially higher-level ones. As for the aspects, Ensnaring Slam suspends all nearby enemies when you slam down while in the air, making it a powerful option that doesn't require as much setup as the Shattered Die for stasis. The second aspect is called Widow's Silk. This aspect grants an additional grenade charge. The Hunter's Grapple ability creates a persistent grapple tangle when it latches, which fully refunds grenade energy when grappled to. In Strand, the grappling tether can be especially powerful when combined with the Strand subclass abilities. For example, the Widow's Silk aspect, which grants an additional grenade charge and creates a persistent grapple tangle when the hook latches onto a surface, can be used to set up chains of grapple points for the entire team to use, greatly enhancing their ability to quickly move around in combat and traverse the environment. Overall, the Hunter's Threadrunner subclass in Strand is all about mobility, grappling, and maximizing survivability while reducing the damage output of enemies. The melee ability and aspects are powerful, while the Super is still best suited for clearing horde of enemies. However, the Widow's Silk aspect could open up a ton of different cheese spots for the team, making it a potentially game-changing ability. Now, let's talk about the Titan Berserker. When this subclass was first revealed, it actually created some controversy because many Destiny 2 players voiced their disappointment with yet another melee-based Titan subclass. However, Bungie promised that it's better than it appears, and we're here to put it to the test. The Berserker's melee is called Frenzied Blade. When you press the button, you will lunge forward and slash your opponent. By default, you have 3 melee charges with this, which is a big deal in Destiny 2 right now because the most melee charges you can get is 2 in most scenarios. Having that third melee charge could potentially give you a huge edge if you're up in close quarters fighting an opponent, especially in Crucible. In addition, the Super is called Blade Fury. You'll roam around clearing hordes of enemies with your light and heavy attacks. Your light attack is a supercharged version of the Frenzied Blade melee we just talked about. Each light attack that connects increases the next attack speed, which maxes out after 3 hits. Then, when you connect a bunch of light attacks, it builds energy for the heavy attack, which shoots out a pair of projectiles that will seek enemies, damage them, and also suspend them. Suspending is huge in Strand as it basically negates an enemy's ability to fight you back for a short time, which is very similar to stasis freezing enemies. However, roaming supers can be very powerful in the Crucible, but they tend to be not that great in PvE. Generally, you want one-and-done supers or stuff that supports your team like Well or Bubble. So, the Supered, to me, sounds pretty average. However, moving to the aspects, this is where you find the most powerful features of this subclass. The first one is called Into the Fray. Destroying a tangle weaves woven mail onto the Titan and nearby allies. In addition to reducing damage taken, this aspect also increases the Titan's melee energy regeneration while wearing woven mail. So, if you can incorporate generating lots of tangles, which will appear when you kill enemies with certain Strand abilities and weapons, and you're constantly blowing those up, woven mail will provide an increase to damage resistance, especially if it stacks on top of having 100 resilience for your class in PvE. The other aspect is Drenger's Lash. While the Titan casts their class ability, their Barricade, the Titan will blast forward a powerful ripple in reality, suspending enemies that are caught in the shockwave's path. So, every single time you deploy your Barricade, which you're going to be doing a lot because you want to be running 100 resilience all the time in PvE for damage resistance, you'll be shooting out a blast that suspends targets in front of the Barricade. This is similar to the aspect that the Stasis Warlock gets, where if you cast your Rift nearby enemies, they're frozen, giving utility and giving extra power to your Barricades that you already want to be casting and investing in is just icing on top of the cake that seems very good. However, again, the super and melee seem pretty average, with the exception being if you're really going down a melee build, having those 3 charges could definitely be powerful. That being said, I could totally see people rocking builds centered around the use of Barricade, maybe having it up back-to-back, providing great area of cover and doing a lot of area of damage, clearing horde of enemies with wave of damage. Not to mention, Titans are also getting a new exotic boot which will split the wave into 3 waves. This exotic has a potential to make the Titan one of the most powerful classes in the game, but again, we need to do more testing on the exotics to make that determination. Moving on to the Warlock Broodweaver, their melee ability is Arcane Needle, which allows them to quickly chain 3 seeking projectiles that cause high damage and unraveling upon impact. Unraveling causes threads to burst out of the target and attack nearby enemies, which also unravels them upon death. This chaining ability is interesting and may be compared to the Titan's melee ability that had 3 charges, but the Warlock's melee ability remains active for a certain amount of time. The Warlock has to go all in on 3 quickly, but spamming 3 seeking projectiles as your melee, which causes unraveling, seems very powerful. The Warlock's super, Needlestorm, is the only non-roaming super and casts a barrage of strand spikes that stick into enemies and explode, turning into an army of threadlings that hunt down more enemies. This subclass has a lot of synergies with threadlings, which seek around and explode when they get to an enemy and do damage. Needlestorm is the best PvE super of these 3 subclasses because it's not roaming and seems to do a lot of damage very quickly. The Warlock Broodweaver has 2 aspects, Weaver's Call and Mindspun Invocation. Weaver's Call allows the Warlock to weave 3 threadling eggs when they cast their Rift, which hatch into threadlings when they hit a surface. Any perched threadlings are converted to additional eggs, making it unique to this subclass. With this aspect, you can spawn threadlings that only attack enemies when there are enemies around. Mindspun Invocation improves several of the Warlock's abilities, including Grapple, Threadling Grenade, and Shackle Grenade. With Grapple, when you execute Grapple melee, the Warlock weaves 3 threadling eggs from the target. With Threadling Grenade, you can consume your grenade to generate a full complement of perched threadlings. With Shackle Grenade, you can consume your grenade to gain a buff, creating a suspending detonation on every kill. Overall, the Warlock Broodweaver's threadlings sound very powerful for the neutral game in both PvE and PvP. The subclass has excellent synergies with threadlings and abilities that improve the Warlock's grenades and rifts. If you're looking to unlock the first Strand subclass in Lightfall, the Warlock Broodweaver is highly recommended. In PvE, I can just picture Warlocks causing chaos with 6+ bomber pets blowing up everywhere, and in PvE, Warlock's super seems to be the most powerful in terms of damage, and the whole concept of threadling seems very cool, unique, and powerful. In conclusion, while it's difficult to predict which subclass will be the best in Destiny 2's upcoming Lightfall expansion, the Warlock subclass Broodweaver has a strong case for being the most powerful. With its explosive threadlings, deadly arcane needle melee attack, and powerful Needlestorm super, it offers a vast range of abilities and playstyles that are definitely worth investing your time in. On the other hand, the Titan Berserker subclass is focused on close quarters combat and offers powerful aspects for damage resistance and extra utility to their barricades. Lastly, the Hunter-Threadrunner subclass focuses on mobility and grappling, offering a powerful rope dart melee ability and the grappling tether class ability. Regardless of your playstyle, there are plenty of ways to approach each subclass, and we're excited to see what kind of builds players come up with once Lightfall launches. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting builds and gaming content. Have a great rest of your week.